The shout now. Well done, Bobby Johnson. Well done, Manchester United.
Beckham. Into Sheringham. And Solskjaer has won it. And the South saved it. United again. Ready! A magnificent goal by Robin van Persie.
Welcome to United Hour, your official Red Cafe podcast for all things Manchester United. I'm your host, Nick.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Jamie.
Three of us here, recording just a couple of hours after a great FA Cup win against our arch rivals, Liverpool.
Come on.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, look. I mean, and yeah, the second time we've played them in quick succession. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to kind of compare teams, how we played over the two matches. Also going to talk a lot about how important is the Cup to us. There's been a lot of debate coming up to the match over what kind of team we might put out. Should we be focusing on the league? So, yeah, definitely going to be asking opinions from you guys on that. But, yeah, look, let's get straight onto the game. Feels great to knock them out. I mean, I'm actually on record often as saying the league is my big priority, and I'll often talk about saying, I think we should rotate in the cups, especially now. But when you knock out Liverpool, you have great game like that as well. Like, you can call it a proper cup game, back and forth, 3-2, especially after the 0-0 kind of board draw. Well, I'd say board draw, but I saw a few people saying, what a boring game. But I actually didn't think our 0-0 with Liverpool was boring. I actually thought it's still a decent-ish game for a 0-0. But yeah, today was a whole different scenario. Alex, I know you're a big fan of the FA Cup, right?
Ish. Yeah, I think for me it's more about the importance of momentum in football, and also having a team that want to win everything, and having a team that have that experience of winning trophies and playing in crunch games. And I think there is a big importance to that. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that, if you win a couple of FA Cups, then you're going to be on for the title. You look at Arsenal, and that's certainly not the case. But I do think that, getting that winning mentality is really important. And I do think that for Ollie's reign, but more importantly, just for this team and for this team of coaching staff, getting that first trophy would mean a lot to them in terms of the progress that has been made, and being able to actually demonstrate that progress that has been made with some silverware. So I think it's really important. And I think today, with the lineup and the approach, there was respect to the competition and the chance to win a trophy, but also obviously respect to it being Liverpool and being a rival. I do think under Fergie, having those rivalries was something that was really important to the mentality and the fueling of the team. Having a picture on a darts board, a target to aim at, can help a lot. And, I think beating the reigning champions, even if not in the league, but in the FA Cup, particularly with a team who there's been a lot of criticism of their big game performances this season, I think that win means a hell of a lot in terms of continuing that momentum that we've got at the moment, sending a bit of a statement, but also, a bit of a blueprint of how we can play a bit more on the front foot, and how we can go and play some of these big teams without necessarily needing to play such a low block. So I think the result, obviously justifies the team, and, was really important. Obviously, if we hadn't got the win, then you look at it and think, well, what a waste of resources, right? Because, you've played your strongest team, bar Bruno and De Gea, I guess, and come away with nothing. But obviously that wasn't the case, which is great.
Yeah, I do totally agree with you. The fact that it was Liverpool did make a big difference. And even myself, I had this kind of dilemma. I was happy that we played quite a weak and rotated team in the last round, but then that was Watford. And as soon as we drew Liverpool, I was thinking, look, we can't put out a fully weak team in that match, because it is Liverpool and it is still a trophy to win. Like you say, there is all these extra things about people saying Ole needs to win something, keeps getting knocked out in semi-finals, that his big game record has not been so great. So yeah, for all these reasons, I guess it did have that extra importance. And I did put out kind of on Twitter what my lineup would have been for this game, and it did have quite a few more changes. So when I saw our team was pretty strong I was not disappointed though, and I wasn't that surprised because I kind of expected Ole would go stronger than I would have done, because he even showed last season that he was putting a fair bit of importance in the cups. And it's normal each time we get a new manager, whether it was Van Gaal, whether it's Jose and Ole now, they all obviously want to win something, and I think they all focus quite a lot on the cups. And I do, though, think that sometimes it's been to the detriment of our league form. And obviously, Louis van Gaal won the FA Cup, but got sacked minutes after the final whistle that day. I mean, I remember being queued up for the tube home that day and hearing that Van Gaal's out of a job, which was a bit ridiculous. But anyway, the FA Cup, it is still a decent trophy worth winning, and when people keep talking about that semi-final record, it makes a difference. I mean, I don't know where you are, Jamie, on the importance of the FA Cup. I mean, I don't know, as being a Scot, whether it was less important to you or if that makes any difference to anything.
No, I was always a big fan growing up of the FA Cup. It was always one that I kind of wanted us to field a strong team and go for. The last few years, maybe not as much, because I would rather see us performing better in the league. But under Sir Alex, it was a trophy I always wanted us to go and try and win. I don't know if my interest in the FA Cup is maybe diminished with the overall interest in it, because as much as you can still have some great games, today was a very good game, very enjoyable. You can still have some great stories of the smaller teams making it to the last 16, the last 8, whatever it may be. I just feel that the interest in the competition has diminished, and that is a shame. And I don't know if that's maybe mirrored my own feelings on it, where I'm now less bothered about it. But this season, I think it is key. If we can win the FA Cup, okay, in isolation, it's not a great indictment of Ole. But if we were to win the FA Cup, win the league potentially, or finish second.
I mean, if we win the league, the FA Cup means nothing. Yeah,
wouldn't be bad, would it, if we won the league and the FA Cup?
No, but if you do it with something else, that's what I'm trying to say. That's where it becomes a really good indicator of how far we have improved. Okay, winning the league is maybe not the right thing to say, but say we finish second, better the points total from last year, win the FA Cup, and then make,
it's more that,
say, the quarter-final, semi-final again in the Europa League. You're looking at that saying that's a very good season.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for me, I'll say straight away that for the Europa League, for me, it's just literally play the kids. Because if we're playing like top 4, then we don't need the Europa League. The only reason we ever need to go strong is when we still need to qualify for the Champions League. So for me, all right, I have dilemmas over the FA Cup, but for me, if we're sitting quite comfortably top 4, then the Europa League is literally let's forget about it. Couldn't care less about it in any way whatsoever. It's something for me that will definitely be to the detriment of our league season if we play any kind of strong teams in that. And we will talk about that a bit more probably next month, because come February, Europa League does come back into the reckoning. But right now, just talking more about this cup. And look, I'm very happy, obviously, that we've won, knocked them out. My only thing is always, is it going to, as we get these games and, the games rack up this season, is it going to cause problems to our league season? And at the moment it isn't doing, so it's not an issue. At the end of the next round we've got West Ham, and again it'll be sandwiched in between two important league games.
We won't necessarily have to, it's not like because we played such a strong team for this game that we have to continue at that same strength, right? And I think if we look back to the start of the season and the transfer window, that we were all really disappointed in how we conducted ourselves in that transfer window, the waste of time that was the Jadon Sancho saga. But I think at the end of it, when we were reviewing the actual net output of that transfer window, we all said that actually it wasn't that bad, and that we seriously improved the overall health of the team. We created competition and support and cover in areas that we were lacking previously. And I think that you look at our team now and you look at our ability to play a B team that is really strong. There'll be a couple of outliers who would play pretty much every game, like a Bruno or Maguire, with obviously Bruno being rested today. And actually, I think that summer window that we had, where yes, we didn't get the star player in Sancho, but we brought Cavani in, we brought Telles in, etc., Van der Beek, actually means that we are able and capable of going for couple of competitions and actually looking to try and share the momentum across, because I think the team's mentality. For anybody that's listened to the Manchester United podcast, the official one, and has heard Rashford's interview, has heard Bruno's. This was a while back as well, but both of them were saying how they're confident that this bunch of players and this group under this management, they feel strongly that they've got trophies in them, they've got titles in them, that they can go and do special things, and they clearly want to be riding that wave of going and pushing for everything that they can. And I think sometimes it can be hard to really build that mentality that we want to build if we're then being too cautious and careful at times here and there with going for multiple competitions. And also, I think Ollie will be thinking back to the days of Fergie, where yes, he would obviously concede in some competitions more than others, but ultimately United would more often than not be challenging on multiple levels, and that's something that he's going to want to get us back to. So I'm personally quite comfortable with it, and I think it's for the long term ambition of the team and for what he's looking to do, I think it's absolutely the right call.
Like, you have to think as well, there's not going to be any replays either, so that at least the ties will be decided on the day. It's not as if you run the chance of drawing the game and then you end up with a replay 2 weeks later. The fact that it's just done and dusted on that one day does make it better as well.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good point. And I think if we look back to Fergie times, the FA Cup was of massive importance in the 90s. I mean, I remember 1990 Cup final, Fergie's first trophy for United. It was huge. And, also, younger fans probably won't remember that English clubs were actually banned from Europe for several years back in 80s.
Thanks to who, Nick? Who was that thanks to? I probably shouldn't go there, right? Yeah. But anyway,
let's not mention it. I mean,
sorry. Apologies, everyone.
We were banned. So the FA Cup became even more important in those times because it was only the league and the cup. Fergie's first trophy was that FA Cup. I still remember the final against Palace 3-3. Actually, the final went to a replay. Lee Martin scored a winning goal and set the whole wheels in motion for the Fergie dynasty from there on. And those early days we had several doubles, of course, the 99 treble. I think in later years, though, that Fergie did put a bit less importance in the FA Cup. He definitely focused a lot on the league, and obviously Europe was the big one.
Towards the end of Fergie's reign, it felt like he'd finally cracked the Champions League. Obviously, we had that year where we dropped into the Europa League early, right? But other than that, 2008, 2009, 2011, that's 3 finals in 4 years?
Yeah.
And it felt like he'd kind of finally come to grips with it a bit, but that same period was when we maybe started dropping off a bit.
Yeah, and when Van Gaal won the FA Cup, we hadn't actually won it for a long time. That year, I did really want to win it. 1, because we hadn't won it for a long time. 2, because we hadn't won a trophy since Fergie left. So I remember that time being really happy at winning it. And, I don't want to denigrate it too much and say, but like I said, it's not for me the priority. But obviously you're going to be ecstatic at beating Liverpool and knocking them out.
Cheer up, Nick. Plus, you can now add Jurgen Klopp to your list of managers that Ollie has bested, right? Which must be the main takeaway from today.
Yeah, fully on that. He was one of the last big managers that he hadn't managed to get over. He can now add his list to the scalps. But look, let's get over to the game. As I said, for me, the team was kind of stronger than I would have gone with, but I was still happy with it. And I was happy at least that Bruno was getting a rest. There was a couple of other bits of rotation. It was an interesting kind of the front three of Rashford, Cavani and Greenwood, and everybody was itching to see how Donny van de Beek did. Let's go straight to him because, every week there's chat, people falling over themselves, especially on Twitter and Red Cafe, saying, why isn't Van de Beek playing? Then people start saying, oh, Ole didn't want him, he should leave the club. And I've said all along, this is absolute nonsense. He's a young player coming to the club, he's getting used to it. He will get opportunities. It just happens to be that this season, we've not had that many midfield injuries. And, he's bought in primarily as cover. He wasn't bought in to be in our first 11. He may work his way into there, and he's still played plenty. This is a big match playing Liverpool in the FA Cup, and he's starting over here. But, I mean, Jamie, what did you think of Van de Beek's performance today?
Nothing really to say about it. I've wrote down there was a couple of points in the first half that were good and bad. There was the incident where Greenwood ran down the flank and cut inside and had a shot at the near post, and I thought he supported really well Van de Beek, and I was kind of disappointed watching the game back through after for some of the highlights. I thought Greenwood should have squared it, and Van de Beek's probably got a tap in from 10 yards or so. But then almost immediately after that, he then got released on the right hand side, but he just seemed to stop. He just seemed to stop and turn back towards the middle of the pitch, play the ball back, and it was just all a wee bit safe. And I think he did have a good contribution where Pogba wins the ball back well for the first goal, and it's Van de Beek that spreads it wide to Rashford. But
yeah, very quick thinking that, in fairness.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if he's maybe just suffering from being out of the team so often, and there's a lot of pressure because of how well the team's performing without him in it. That I think he's maybe just struggling to just deal with the fact that he has to be very, very good every single time he does get a chance, just to even try and put the thought in Ollie's mind that he should maybe be in the first 11. So I don't know, it was just one of those games where there was some good stuff, there was some not so great stuff. I just thought there was large periods of the game where he wasn't really involved at all, and I would like to see more from him when he does get a chance, because he is a great player. Like, close control, keeping the ball, keeping it recycling over, quick thinking, as was said for the breakaway for the first goal. I would like to see more from him.
Yeah, it felt like it did bring a level of calm and composure that was missing in that last game. And obviously, when you lose Bruno, you lose that directness, but you do with it perhaps bring more recycling of possession, sustained periods of possession, which I actually think were quite important in this game, where the momentum did swing from one team to the other quite often. And he did also contribute defensively a couple of times. I do think that moment where he had the ball out wide and then he just cut back and then played it short, in this game, at that point in the game, with the scoreline what it was, would have probably frustrated fans a hell of a lot, regardless of what else he'd gone on to do in that game. That's a moment that would probably stick with people for some time. I know that fans in the stadium would have been really disappointed to see that, and you would have heard some groans and stuff. I know that that's definitely been the case in the past. But also it is a hell of a lot to expect from a player who hasn't been getting minutes. Not just, Nick, you're right in that there's competition, and we've got a number of midfielders ahead of him who ultimately are performing really well. Fred and McTominay have deserved to be the starting performers. Pogba and Matic have a great partnership, and when they've been brought in, they've done a very good job. And obviously we've been on an unbeaten run regardless of that midfield partnership. Then you've got Bruno, who's pretty much undroppable, but he's not been even getting any sub minutes. He's not being used utility on the wings, and it does feel like we've seen the Van de Beek story before, whether that's in Shinji Kagawa, even Juan Mata to a respect, and some other players too. I guess the hope is that it becomes a bit of a Fred story, and that we have seen Ollie, basically barely trust a player, give them no minutes, give them no time, and then do a complete U-turn on them when he has to turn in their direction. So maybe that will still come. It's still early days, I agree with you, but it does feel like to expect a lot from him this game, when it's a big opportunity, but when he's had such little time, feels quite unfair, really, I guess.
Yeah, it is difficult to come in after you've not played several matches. I mean, I kind of thought he would definitely play maybe at Fulham midweek, but he didn't. Bruno played there. He comes in here. Everybody kind of then presents this as, Van de Beek is coming in to play instead of Bruno, and let's see if he can do what Bruno does. Whereas actually, I kind of think he's not playing the exact same role as
Not
Bruno,
at all.
really.
No, not really.
And he can't. They're totally different sort of players, right? You can play in the same position and play it totally differently.
I think our setup today actually was a bit more almost 4-3-3, whereas if Bruno's in that team, then it's much more 4-2-3-1. And I think Van de Beek is a bit more kind of midfield and forward, basically. That's what I'm mostly saying. The only problem is that, he didn't get involved in the game enough. And of the people who started this match, he's had the least touches of anybody. And, that's what you kind of see. You don't remember that much of what he was doing there.
I don't know if that would have been true at the time that he got brought off, to be fair. I don't know if you've checked that.
Yeah, even at that point, because, Greenwood goes off at the same point and he's still got more touches than him.
And Cavani had more touches than him at that point?
Yeah.
Wow.
Cavani,
If that's true, that's somewhat.
Yeah, normally, your forwards, you expect them to have less touches, whereas people in the midfield are normally on the ball a lot more and whatever. I think also, Van der Beek is still getting used to our kind of system. I think, from Ajax days, they played in a different way, not necessarily this fast transition. It's more about keeping the ball in a more maybe possession-based kind of style of football. I think he is still getting used to the way Ole wants us to play. But look, he's a good player. He's a young player. There's plenty of time for him to be involved. And as I say, in other seasons we've had like injury crises. Like remember last year where we ended up with like Andreas Pereira playing like regularly in midfield, and then people said, look, we haven't got any squad depth. And you bring in somebody, and it's just it's sod's law that nobody has got injured much this year in the midfield area, so he hasn't been that much like required. But there's still half of the season to go, so there's plenty of chance for injuries and things like that.
It's probably worth saying as well that we were looking to, either be going for the over the top or get it to the wings quickly. And that was like Cavani's job as well, was to just flick it onto the wings. And it's not like we were playing through the middle and retaining possession. So I guess it's always, unless he was to play as deep as Pogba and McTominay and be bringing it out from the defence more often, then he was always less likely to be getting on the ball a great deal. But also I think it's worth saying that, going back to where we spoke about the transfer window that we had, and that we now have the squad depth and the ability to go for more competitions, even if he's not getting in the team, doesn't mean that he's not able to impact and actually influence the performance of the players who are on the pitch, because having his presence there, nipping at their heels, that extra competition in training, that extra quality in training, like the overall base level, I imagine would have gone up. And, with that B team getting stronger this year, we see it with Telles and Shaw. Telles' probably biggest impact to United has been the impetus that it's given Luke Shaw in the past month or two.
Yeah, and another great performance from Luke Shaw. It must be his best run of form since he's come to the club. He did have as well remember under Van Gaal, before he got that horrible injury, he did have kind of a good run of form. And then I always said that he was never the same after that injury, but this is kind of the first time where he's been fit for a extended period of time. And we're seeing like the benefit of him playing regularly, not having those niggles, not being play a few matches out for 3 matches and whatever. And he's definitely in the best form that I can remember since he's come to the club.
But he's also getting rested where he's having to play at such a high level to keep his spot, and Telles coming in has helped add to that. But then in those games like against Watford, we have been able to revert to Telles and give him that break that he needs. And then there were a couple of other European or league games where we played Telles instead that probably just gave him that rest that he's never really had the luxury of having in the past when he's been fit. And I think, we said it not long ago that it was the game that Wan-Bissaka got 15 matches for United. Luke Shaw, who's been at the club, 6-7 years, played his 100th league match for United. And just in comparison, Wan-Bissaka literally came to the club last season. Luke Shaw's been here for so long. And also, if you remember, when Telles came in and a lot of people thought that Telles would overtake him, Luke Shaw actually came out with some really professional comments about how we won that competition for places, and that bringing a left back to the club, he doesn't see that as a negative or a threat. He sees that as a positive, and he's actually backed up those words with his performances, right? Because today, there were probably a couple of moments for their goals where you could perhaps say he could have done better, but ultimately it was another really strong performance.
Yeah, well, look, as I say, it's a great day and well-deserved win, but we actually started. Actually, I was going to say started badly, but actually we didn't. I actually would say that we actually started much better than we did away at Anfield the other day. Whereas, we took a lot of pressure at Anfield. This game, kind of from the start, it was quite different. You could see that Liverpool were not pressing us as much, and we were also not necessarily going straight for that kind of Hollywood big ball. Although, we were going for long switches and, trying to go fast in the transition, but not as much as maybe sometimes Bruno. And, he has had a little bit of criticism for this in the past week or so. It just goes for some crazy balls where, he's actually facing away from the play and is just on the turn trying to play a ball through, which if it comes off is outstanding, but it's only going to come off 2 in 10 times or something. But look, we actually I'd say we started the game absolutely fine. You could see this game was going to have a different flow to it than Anfield, where, they had the vast majority of the possession, we were sitting in. Whereas this, at half time, it was 50-50, the possession in this game. But we did still go down 1-0. I mean, Jamie, I don't know how you saw who was to blame. Like, we're giving Shaw a lot of credit here, but if you watch the replay over there, Shaw is the one who's on Salah, and he was the one who did a great job on Salah the other day, whereas Salah manages to kind of get in between Shaw and Lindelof, and so it is a good ball. But yeah, one of them has got to be taking responsibility there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It was far too easy a goal. I think there's actually Shaw's probably the most at fault in the sense that Salah does run off of him. But watching it back, even in the midfield and perhaps further upfield as well, it was just too easy for.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it's Wijnaldum who then plays it.
Yeah.
He plays it into Firmino, and there's no pressure on him at all for him to just pick a really easy pass through the middle of the pitch to Firmino. Firmino's then, say, between Pogba and McTominay, neither of them really put enough pressure on Firmino. He then turns round, and it is a good pass, but there's just no pressure on the ball at all. It's so easy for Liverpool just to have the ball, turn and pick the pass. And then, as I say, Shaw's probably could do better in the first instance of getting a little bit tighter. And then by the time that pass has come through to Salah, he's got no chance. Salah's straight through on goal. And to be fair, it is a lovely finish from Salah, the dink over the keeper. I think Henderson does his best he can there to just come out, try and close the angle, but it's a really good finish. But I just think that it was just so easy watching it back 2 or 3 times. You can be disappointed with a few players for me. We did start well, because I wrote down 2 or 3 occasions we actually had good chances from corners, as well as the one we said where Greenwood hits it at the near post, it's saved. Pogba had a good header from a corner.
There was actually several. There was about 3 times our players won headers from corners today, where we never do, and you thought we could do better. And yeah, it was actually Luke Shaw taking those corners. And like I say, over the years, I can never remember him as one. I've said, look, he should be taking more corners. But
I think he's worked on it,
practicing with Tellez, hasn't he?
He must be working on them, because the delivery's excellent at the moment, where it's into a really good area, and there was 3 or 4 headers for sure that you're like...
Yeah, there was. We should have actually done better with some of those. There was Pogba had a pretty much free header, and I think even McTominay got on the end of one.
Yeah, McTominay
maybe
could
have done better. But yeah, I did also note that, Greenwood, obviously, he didn't start the game at Anfield. He then started midweek against Fulham, had a relatively quiet game, gets a big chance over here, hadn't scored for 10 games, and people have started talking about, is he a one-season wonder? What's happened to him? So yeah, he had 2 chances pretty early on as well, as you said, and then gets his goal about 25 minutes in. Again, I mean, that kind of all came from Paul Pogba tackle on the edge of our box that then goes out very quickly. Rashford with a great ball, perfect. I think Milner just misses out. I think that both kind of our first goals were like that, where their defenders are like inches away from cutting it. So the balls had to be so perfect. I think one time it's Milner misses it. I think the other time it was Williams. Rashford feeds in Greenwood. And yeah, it was a lovely finish for somebody, like I said, who's been having a lot of critics saying he's off form, he's lost it, whatever. To finish from there, you see that he has still got that finish in him.
Rashford running. Milner's missed it. Here's Mason Greenwood, who's in, and he scored. What a ball in it was from Marcus Rashford over the top to Mason Greenwood. And that's a fine, confident drive past Alisson to level things up.
I mean, yeah, as I say, talk about Pogba. When he played at Anfield, he's playing that kind of wide right, whereas today he plays in the double pivot. So it's a totally different position. And that's where his kind of defensive side of his game has a much more of a focus. And I think he's been doing really great on that. Picked out even the other day against Fulham, where he's playing that similar position, that he's actually had the most tackles, the most interceptions. And again, today he's done a damn good job, whereas normally people are looking to Pogba for assists, for goals. And it's that defensive side of his game, when he's playing more like number 8, that does make all the difference. And as I said, that goal comes from him making a tackle on the edge of our box and starting it all off there. I mean, Alex, obviously me and you have been on this podcast for years now, and for at least half of that we've been debating Pogba and what is his best position. So, and it's still a debate because, as I said, Anfield he's played wide kind of right, whereas today he's playing like number 8 as part of a two-man midfield.
Yeah, nobody thinks the wide right is his best position, though. I can say that for sure. But obviously wide left, perhaps further up the pitch or on the left of a midfield three, where he's able to have a bit more license to go back and forward. A lot of people would say. I've actually always said on this podcast that personally, I think a motivated Pogba with a strong team around him, with lots of runners on the wings, and a Pogba who is motivated to be disciplined. I want him to be deeper and to have the game in front of him where he can really influence. But then, a demotivated Pogba or Pogba who's not at the races, obviously you want to get him as far away from our goal as possible. But I think what we've always wanted at United is the Pogba that France gets. Because you look at the Pogba that France gets, and you look at the Pogba that played in that World Cup where he was playing in a double pivot and he was very disciplined. He wasn't always getting forward, but he was able to, one, dictate play, two, often be the person most capable of spreading the ball and switching the play, which was absolutely something that we were looking to take advantage of today, spreading it and switching play to the wings. And also somebody who's able to get back and do some physical work, both bringing the ball out and carrying the ball from deep, but also getting back and making the tackles and clearing, particularly in the air. He's fantastic at that. And the problem is that we've just never really seen that same Pogba for France at United, and that's the Pogba that we're getting at the moment. And for me, that's because there's a chance at a title, and he realizes that he can't let up on his performances because he would potentially get dropped again, and he can see that there is something actually happening here. So when he's playing like this, for me, being in that deep role is absolutely perfect. But obviously, he can do lots of damage at the other end as well, as we've seen multiple times this year. It's one of them. He's a great player, and some great players can play in multiple positions, and if they're motivated and whatnot, then it doesn't really matter too much where they're playing. They're able to adapt, and he's definitely shown he's capable of doing that recently.
Yeah, definitely. And we go straight into the second half. Great start to the second half. Perfect. Roles reversed. Yeah. As Greenwood actually sets up Rashford.
It's Greenwood and Williams has missed it, and that means that Rashford is in. It's Rashford against Alisson, and he's made the finish look so easy. What a start to the second half for Manchester United.
For me, Rashford was actually my man of the match. I mean, Jamie, I don't know who you would call your man. They gave on the TV, Jermaine Jenas gave it to Pogba, actually. But for me, Rashford coming in refreshed after having the rest midweek made such a difference. Yeah. And for him to get that goal and assist, for me, I call him man of the match. But yeah, I don't know if you, between, like I said, Pogba, Rashford, maybe Luke Shaw, these were the kind of contenders, I guess, today.
I would maybe go Rashford as well. I thought Pogba was excellent. Again, he was good first half, very good second half. He's just in excellent form, but I was so impressed with Rashford. I thought he was excellent. I probably would pick him for man of the match.
Pogba was good, but I think without the rhetoric of Pogba's form at the moment, I don't think he gets that man of the match. I think that was an easy pick and more about his overall contribution to United recently. Like today he was good, but I wouldn't have said he was the outstanding performer. And for me, absolutely, it would have been Rashford. And the two big moments he delivered, obviously Greenwood did too, but it was Rashford who gave that constant pressure, that constant threat. And I just thought he was excellent. And I think it was Colm on the podcast earlier in the week after the Fulham game that mentioned that, perhaps we'll let up with that Martial experiment at some point. He'll become more of a squad player and we'll see Cavani take that number 9 position and Rashford take the left. And I hope that happens because I think that we're in slight danger of Rashford becoming a utility forward like Rooney was. And obviously Rooney, our greatest ever goal scorer, broke so many records, absolutely fantastic across multiple seasons in multiple positions. But I think Rashford's on the cusp of taking that leap to being one of the Premier League's best players, outstanding players. And I just don't think that we're doing him favours by moving him around so often to accommodate other people, because he's not as damaging when he's played out of position than other players would be, because he is such a professional and because he does turn up. For me, I think putting him on the left and sticking with him on the left, and also Nick, you're always talking about Ollie and how he likes partnerships. He Matic and Pogba in the middle, or McFred. Luke Shaw and Rashford have been excellent recently, and I think we should continue that, because I think there's something special with Rashford there. He's already doing amazing things, obviously, but I think to go from a good to great player, I think that's not far off, and I would be pushing for that, because he was tremendous today. He was insane.
Yeah, and in fact, I'd done the podcast or whatever a few weeks ago talking about how, Ole recently is only sticking to either McFred or what we've decided to call Pogtich. And obviously, in the last couple of matches, Ole has decided to murk me completely. And he threw out Fred and Pogba. I don't know what we're going to call it. Pog-Fred? I don't know what that's going to be. And then, today we get the Muck-Pogba combination. So, we're seeing how we can mix and match, and these different players can go for it. So, that's great to see that we're not reliant on any one of these kind of combos, and we can still see different partnerships come and go. As I say, I thought we looked pretty comfortable at the start of this second half, and at 2-1 you felt that we could maybe then start sitting back a bit and soak it up, but unfortunately their pressure came, and they did eventually get this equalizer. And they had gone close just before that as well, so it wasn't like totally out of the blue. I don't know, Jamie, if on this goal, who you think is at fault for that goal?
I think it's Cavani.
Yeah, he gives the ball away, doesn't he, in midfield? Yeah.
But it frustrates me though. Like, so many times we do this set up from a goal kick where the two centre halves split wide, and okay, we seem to be getting better at working the ball into the midfield, then getting the team turned and start heading towards the opposition's goal. But Liverpool, just for 5 or 10 minutes before their goal, just started to get a bit more momentum, a bit more of the initiative. Milner had his chance, and you could just see. I thought Firmino, for example, had a really good game today for Liverpool, especially in the second half. I thought a lot of what they done that was good came through Firmino, and you just started to feel that they were growing into the game a little bit. And the Milner chance, I think, just gave them a bit more confidence. So seeing us sit up again and kind of harry the ball into midfield, Cavani goes just for that flick out to the right-hand side, that, as we were saying with Bruno, when it works, it's great. When it doesn't work, it can lead to all sorts of things, and it just led to Milner charging up to the edge of the box. Cavani then runs back, trying his best to rectify the error, but by that time, it's too late. The ball goes wide, cuts back inside, and I think Genius was trying to give Milner credit for dummying it. I'm not sure if he dummies it or whether he just misses it, but however it works out well for Salah. Salah scores. I just think it's one of those, we just needed to be, reading the room a bit better, if you like, realising, look, they're starting to build a bit more momentum here. Let's just try and take the sting out of the game a little bit.
Yeah.
But we didn't do that. We gave them the initiative from Cavani giving the ball away. And unfortunately, I wouldn't really blame any of the defenders there. I just think we just get caught in the midfield. They then run forward. And then the dummy from Milner, if it is a dummy, is brilliant.
If Milner was Scottish, you'd say that was a dummy all day long. It wouldn't even be an argument.
Probably, yeah. The one thing I will say about the goal, though, right?
Yeah.
Watching it back a couple of times, I think De Gea saves that.
Yeah, interesting. Because, there's been, obviously this talk about which goals De Gea might save, which Henderson might gain. There've been a few that De Gea had given away earlier that a lot of people had said, I'm sure Henderson gets out to that.
I just think it's because De Gea is so good with his feet that anything like that round about him, I would just expect De Gea to save. So the fact that it was just really close to the keeper and eventually nutmegs him, I just think De Gea would save that.
It's one of De Gea's outstanding characteristics that he would have made it, but that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a criticism of Henderson.
No, not at all.
If most goalkeepers wouldn't, right? I mean, I'll be honest, I think both of them might have saved Rashford's at the other end, that the best goalkeeper in the world apparently didn't end up saving. So just to add to that, I mean, I'm to and fro sort of on like the momentum building of Liverpool and whether we should have adapted early, because I actually felt that, in the first half, I agree that we definitely played better and dealt with their pressure, being at Old Trafford, not having the league pressure, etc., better this week than last week. But they were still tackling and making interceptions high up the pitch, and I think McTominay and Pogba early on were both culpable for giving the ball away in dangerous positions. But then in the second half, we seemed to be actually resisting that press, playing around it, and had some confidence to our play after we went 2-1 up. And then, they ended up, getting a goal from that. Cavani flicking it to the side, it doesn't work off. But ultimately, that's what Cavani was doing all game. That's what Cavani was meant to do. And I guess maybe we should have been set up defensively in a way better to deal with that turnover possession if it doesn't happen. Because what Cavani's doing is always a 1 in 2 chance that it's gonna come off right. And I think his pass accuracy probably was 50-60% as a result. So maybe we should have been set up to deal with it better. I do think like Shaw was maybe ball watching a little bit, not much, but a little bit.
Yeah, I think for that one as well, Cavani's come very, very deep, and maybe normally when he's coming, and he flicks off, he's not as far forward, so it doesn't make as much difference.
Perhaps so, but maybe that was just because they were pressing us up the pitch and we dropped off a little bit.
But in general though, like I say, this game was so much more even. Even though in the end we came away from Anfield being disappointed that we might have only got a point, they had the vast majority of the possession. Early on in that match, they had a lot of chances, a lot of play. Whereas this time, the first half was 50-50. The second half, they have a little bit more possession, but that's only because we go up very early and then start sitting off a little bit. In general, I'd say this felt much more like we were going equal with them to see who can come out on top. And we've come out on top 3-2. I mean, it was interesting after that, kind of when it goes to 2-2, then the managers start having a bit of a tactical battle. Because, at the 60-minute mark, Klopp makes the first move. Mane comes in for Wijnaldum. So, that's, obviously a clear, attacking move to say, right, we're going to try and win this game. 5 minutes later, Ole does react. And, Ole is often criticised for taking way too long on substitutions. But, 5 minutes later, he makes the change. Van der Beek comes out. Greenwood comes out. Bruno and Fred come in. And I think that is the big sign that shows that Van der Beek and Bruno are not playing the same position, because Bruno is actually coming in for Greenwood as an attacker, whereas Fred is actually coming in for Van der Beek more in the kind of midfield basically. And we move around a bit. Pogba goes out, then back to that kind of wide right role, which I agree with you, Alex, is not really where I want to be seeing him played that often, but that is where he ends up anyway. And I'd say we felt more comfortable after that. Some fresh legs, give them something a bit more to think about with Bruno's balls over there. 10 minutes later, obviously, we get a free kick on the edge of their box. And I don't even know why this is a contentious call. They made it on TV.
Never even a debate.
They made it on TV as if, I think Ian Wright was saying, this wasn't a free kick or whatever. And maybe even Klopp said, somebody's told me it shouldn't have been. But to me, it's absolutely clear. I mean, Cavani you see all his experience in winning that free kick. It's something that maybe
absolutely.
The likes of Martial, Rashford will not kind of do in that position. But it is definitely a foul and absolutely worthy of getting a foul. And Bruno smashes it home. Absolutely beautiful to see.
Looking for Cavani. It's at the hand of Cavani, who was down, and he felt he'd been pulled down, and that's what Craig Paulson has seen as well.
Cavani just uses his experience, just feels something and goes, okay, I'll use that, go down.
Almost undoubtedly going to be Bruno Fernandes! It is quite magnificent. That is pinpoint perfect from Bruno Fernandes, and Manchester United lead again.
Usually it's any time keeper gets done on his side, you'd have to blame the keeper, but the accuracy, the precision, the pace he puts on it, Fernandes, absolutely brilliant.
Amazing finish. And I mean, ultimately there's a knee in the back of Cavani's thigh, and I think Cavani's already probably going to be going down. Cavani's waiting and knows that that's coming, and it was just clever, smart play from Cavani to win that foul, and I don't think it's contentious. I agree with you. And then I think on the free kick itself, Pogba deserves an assist for a fantastic duck and dodge. just to make sure, because it was quite a low free kick, right? But pace and power, and Pogba gets his head out of the way and just a brilliant finish. Alisson had no chance, and such an important goal, the winner. I keep seeing posts on social media about how Bruno can't do it in the big games, and they just keep adding asterisks. Penalties don't count, free kicks now don't count, only games in the league this season count. Only games against the big six, that's Arsenal and not the actual top six these days, count. So it'll be interesting to see what the next asterisk is. But yeah, unbelievable goal. So glad he scored it, and just brilliant all round. And I think just to quickly talk to Cavani's contribution in terms of clever play, that obviously the free kick he won that we scored from, but also the Greenwood pass to Rashford is following very a quick reaction from Cavani to nick in. I think it's Thiago who plays has a loose touch or loose ball, and Cavani nicks in, and it's kind of like a interception pass that ends up getting to Greenwood, who plays it first time over the top for Rashford. So in a couple of key moments this game, Cavani, despite not scoring today, obviously here at the post with that header, still played quite a big part. And I was thinking, I think he had 31 touches or something today, and I was thinking, watching him, he is the striker that Van Gaal always wanted. I remember back, I think it was Robin van Persie against Arsenal, had 20-something touches, and he was getting absolutely ripped for it, probably by us, but by United fans, by opposition fans, by the media. But to Van Gaal, it was a perfect game because he doesn't want the striker to be too involved. He doesn't want the striker coming deep. He wants the striker to be up top, providing that constant threat. Constant movement to allow other players to move forward, and also quick interplay to lay off wide attackers to take the ball forward when the ball comes into him, rather than slow, longer hold-up play that you might get from someone like Martial. And Cavani contributed to some big critical moments. And thinking about it, the two big games where we've kind of been a little bit on the front foot this season, maybe not for the full game, but for at least periods of the game, have been this one and the PSG second leg that we actually lost. Obviously, the two big games that Cavani's actually started in. And despite not being that involved from touches and passes point of view, he's clearly able to have a big impact in the way that we're able to play and how the oppositions react to having him on the pitch. I still think we could get him involved more. I still think that we don't necessarily know how to take full advantage of him and his ability, but clearly he's already making a difference.
I was gutted he hit the post. I was so.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was just going to say that, Jamie. That it was so if that had gone in, and it would have made it safe and clear. But it was a lovely ball from Bruno as well. Just hung it up there, and he come in with that header hitting the post. Yeah, really disappointed for him there. But yeah, I'd actually said against after the Anfield game that I was really disappointed that Cavani didn't start that game when when they had a centre back pairing of Henderson and Fabinho that day. I thought he could have caused them a lot of problems. And today, again, you see, Henderson's not even available, and they've got this, was it Williams in defence? It's a bit shocked to me that the transfer window is open and Liverpool have not bought in a defender. It just seems like the obvious thing I expect.
They can have one of ours. Yeah, if they want.
Yeah, they can have
Jones
Rojo. Yeah, they can have Rojo. He's a Rojo still.
Jones,
Well, yeah, we'll
Doing
say that. Yeah. It is a bit bizarre to me that Rojo and Romero are still Manchester United players, but yeah, there's still a little bit of this transfer window left. There's still time for them to go off somewhere. But as I say, I just mentioned Alex, first time Ole beats Klopp, so yeah, another name on his scalp of let's not forget, if not like everybody was talking about that Ole doesn't know tactics, he can't deal with the biggest managers, and he's beaten every one of them that he's come across at some point. And as well, people have been talking about the big game record. So to win this game, there was a lot of big reasons, and it does really silence a lot of critics over there. And Alex, me and you have not done a podcast for a while, and last season you were one of Ole's biggest critics, right?
Yeah, I was waiting for you to try and get the Ollie in, Ollie out train.
Well,
going.
I don't think we even need to go too much about. I do need to just remind you that you had been very, very critical of Ole last season, and you haven't been on the pod for a while. Not with me anyway, that's for sure. So definitely had to get that mention in there.
He's been fantastic. I think obviously the addition of Bruno made a big difference. But I think last season his squad management was pretty piss poor, and I think that really hurt us at the end. And I think the season before that was a big reason why he didn't end up making the top four. But this season, because of the transfers that he's made, he's been much better than that. There are still some areas, that maybe need improving on that front, but he's clearly thinking ahead in terms of his choices that he's making. Like you say, he's making big sweeping changes in terms of like Pogba and Matic coming in for McTominay and Fred, but the way that he's managing it seems to be able to retain the momentum because he seems to be making consistent sweeping changes, like you said, with swapping a partnership, and then the tactics reflect that partnership, and it's the style of the game that we're playing that dictate what partnership we'll play. And that seems to allow for that. So even though he doesn't know his best 11, which is sometimes been a criticism in the past of both him and other managers, it's very much a Fergie style, changes things up slightly every game, a bit of a tinkerer, but ultimately in quite a consistent manner. And yeah, obviously we're flying, and I couldn't be happier to be proven wrong if he goes on to win the title this year. And obviously, even without that, regardless of what happens, there's been some huge progress there. He's clearly learned a lot and developed as a manager. And yeah, obviously, hopefully we can continue progressing and keep this momentum. I think I remember being on the podcast earlier in the season after the Chelsea draw, where I quoted Ollie's post-match interview where he referenced the PSG game last year or the season before, where we then lost to Arsenal immediately following that win. And we beat PSG this year, went to Chelsea, or Chelsea came to us, and obviously it was a 0-0 draw. And in isolation, it felt like we could have done more there. It felt like a bit of a disappointing result. But I remember, it seemed at the time that he was playing for that run. He was playing to be able to build that momentum and that he didn't want to throw it away. And I think that's played into his cautiousness in multiple league games this season, because he's obviously able to build that purple patch and that train, and he wants to keep that going. And yeah, he's done an excellent job of keeping that momentum, but he's shown now probably 3 times that when the going gets tough, when other managers will probably be on a slippery slope that ends up in being sacked, he's able to turn it around, and that's not something that many managers are really capable of doing these days. So yeah, he's obviously come a long way, and right now only the absolute insane, the craziest of fans could be disappointed in what he's doing.
Yeah, but bizarrely, if you go on Twitter and whatever, you do still see people who still talking about Ole out and that he's not the man for us, and they talk about
the only thing I would say is last season, it was all about waiting to the end of the season to see how we finished to then judge the season, right? So I think there would probably be some people who would say we're halfway through, let's wait till the end of the season to see where we actually end up, because things can change a lot.
That's totally fair enough, but they're not saying that. They're still saying he's not the one, get rid of him now. I don't know, but yeah, sometimes though I actually think some of these accounts on Twitter are not even Man United fans. They're just masquerading like Liverpool or City fans there to annoy us or something like that, because I can't actually comprehend that there's that many people out there.
I think this is I've always wondered if Ed this is a bit of a long game, and he's not actually a United fan, and he's gone so far with it that he's actually joined a United podcast and contributed for years, but actually he's a Liverpool or City fan or whoever you want it to be. Yeah.
Well, like I say, sometimes I see some of the things written by so-called United fans online, and I just can't even think, how can they be? Like, even just this week, I had an argument with some guys talking about, no, Ole's not the one. He's not going to bring us any trophies. He's failed every time, and it's a false position. I just go just enjoy it. We're doing well. We're top of the league. Even if you're not too sure, just enjoy it. Yeah, at the moment.
It's not about the destination. It's about the journey, right? So as much as it's a bit nerve-wracking right now because every win feels like it means so much and every match really matters. That's what we've been craving for this whole time, because in years gone by, and even at the start of this season, there's been that apathy to it where you just accept that we're a bit shit and the match result doesn't really mean anything because we're not playing for anything bigger than just the match itself, and it's all just felt very flat. And then finally we're basically in the position that we've always wanted to be in since Fergie left. Yeah, I agree with you. Fucking enjoy it. Like, you know, who knows if we'll carry on being here over the next few seasons, and if not, when we'll be here again. Don't fucking lose out and regret it. Yeah, enjoy it.
Yeah, and I've said myself that I still actually don't expect us to win the league. I still think City are favourites for that, but I'm just happy being in
Why
the
do you always
race.
have to be so negative, Nick? Negative, Nick. It's always downplaying our chances. No faith in Ollie and the structure in the team. It's really disappointing. I thought it was a top red. You of all people would be confident.
No, yeah, like I said, I would not put any money on us winning the league at the moment. But look, we're in the shout. We're in with a shout. We're up there, and yeah, let's see what we can do from there at the moment. We roll on the FA Cup now. It will be West Ham next up. So yeah, back against David Moyes. They're still running pretty well, so it's not going to be an easy game either. But yeah, first we're going to be going midweek. We've got Sheffield United. We've had quite a few players now who've played several matches in a row. Like I said, that's why I thought there might have been a bit more rotation today. But then, maybe Ole sees that Sheffield United game as one where he can give Shaw a rest. Telles can come in. Let's see. There's definitely players who Wan-Bissaka needs a rest. There's a couple of other players who play. Pogba as well has played a lot of football in the last month or so. But yeah, there's definitely, we know, several options who can come in for him. Maybe Matic is due a game, so we'll see who comes in for Sheffield United. I mean, yeah, we played them relatively recently. Made hard work of it, but did win it. I was going to say they're on slightly better form. That's only because they've managed to win one game rather than losing every single match, and have actually scored a couple of goals here and there. But you would expect that we win this game, even with maybe a bit of a rotated team over there. Because yeah, the match after that is Arsenal, who we don't have a great record against. So you'd be wanting to be put out more or less our first 11 for that one.
Yeah, until Ole adds Arteta to his list of managers that he's beat, then I can't get behind him really. Because you say he's beat all the big managers and all the good teams, but there's big black mark there.
Arteta's still that scalp on the list, yeah. But yeah, I mean, like you said, Alex, yeah, but I don't even necessarily count Arsenal as a top six team at the moment. There's definitely Leicester who have, as much of a claim as being like a top six team in recent times. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, as I say, Sheffield United come up, then yeah, back to Arsenal next weekend. Every week, every game, like you say, feels like a big game now when we're in the position that we're in.
It's what you want.
Yeah, it is what you want. And, we do now have a 6-point cushion from Liverpool, but it is City who are breathing down our necks, still got like a game in hand over there. I would say that, yeah, there does see, people talk about Ole being a lucky manager or like Ole voodoo or whatever, that, in the last week or so, it seems that Vardy, De Bruyne are injured. Aguero's got COVID, so yeah, things are kind of maybe going in our direction. But let's see. By the time the next matches go, some of these players may still be available. But definitely things that may help us over there. I mean, I'm assuming neither of you two can see anything apart from us beating Sheffield United, right? Alex, so you're still not sure, Alex. You're still in this period of not being sure. Like even though we've beat all these small teams, it's not like we were where we were a year ago, where 1 week we'd have a good performance, 1 week we wouldn't. And I still feel that you're still like not that sure about where.
No. There's no like inferiority complex or anything going on anymore. It's more just that Sheffield United's position and form this season isn't reflective of their squad, their manager, their ability. At least I don't feel so. And I guess we've played them 3 times since they came back up, and there was a 3-3 draw, a 3-0 win where we absolutely smashed them at the start of lockdown. I'm pretty sure that was Martial hat-trick or something, right? But anyway, then there was the game a month or so ago where it was a 3-2 win, let's not forget, in the middle of already a strong run of form from us at that time, not including Champions League, but in the league we were already on a good run. And like you say, we made hard work of it. So I am confident, but I'm and I would still predict a win, but I'm not going to get ahead of myself, because there will be games that we expect to win, particularly now because we've got that confidence that we won't. There will be still more dropped points, particularly this season more than ever, and I think that will ramp up when we start playing in the Europa League again. But yeah, I am confident in expecting a win, but I don't expect it to necessarily be an easy game like the Fulham one wasn't in the week, but we seem to be grinding out wins at the moment.
Yeah, there is not really any easy games, is there?
Yeah.
Nowadays the level, even near the bottom, is much higher than it used to be. Even though Sheffield United, people are talking about saying they are still possibly on track for the worst Premier League record ever. They did get that relatively recent win. And I do agree with you, actually, that they've not been playing anywhere near as badly. I mean, I remember that Derby team who were just awful and just went out for a spanking every week.
Yeah.
Sheffield United have been very unlucky. They just haven't managed to get the goals. That's what they've been totally lacking at, is anyone to score. Whereas last season they had this absolutely rock-solid defence. I think most people had Sheffield United defenders in their fantasy teams and did well from them.
Yeah.
This year they've not been keeping those clean sheets, and maybe a big part of that is the fact that they don't have Dean Henderson. I think they have also had big injuries. I think was it Chris Basham? I think was out for a while.
No fans, I think, has made a big difference to them, as it has a lot of those teams at the bottom. And then also, I think there is an element of second season syndrome in that, if you remember, they were seen as being quite innovative in their structure. In that, was it the centre backs would basically
it was, and
become
in fact that
midfielders,
main
right?
guy,
and then
he has actually been injured for a lot of the year, so I think that's part of the year, part of the big
Lundstrom, is
reason
it?
that they
Or I
have
can't
struggled.
remember his name.
Him being out there and then losing Henderson from that defence as well. I think that's been part. But yeah, their big struggle has been goals up front, even though they'd spent a fair bit of money on this Ryan Brewster, in fact, Liverpool reserve in the summer. But yeah, he's not done much for them at all so far. They've got a Scottish guy up front as well, haven't they, Jamie? That Ollie Burke plays for them.
He's crap. He is crap.
He gave us a headache. It was him who, it was Henderson who fumbled at the start of that game recently, wasn't he? And it was Ollie Burke who'd given him the kind of headache that the goal came from. But yeah, he does seem to me that kind of just up front workhorse. Whereas I remember him when he was young. Didn't he go out and play for somebody really big when he was young, like in Europe somewhere? Where did Ollie Burke go out to play? In Germany or something like that? And he was rated as a player.
He went to, I can't remember if it was Leipzig or somebody like that in Germany, but he was highly touted up here. He was,
he was touted as a big Scottish talent, and now he's just become more of this upfront workhorse. But anyway, all right. So Jamie's giving us the Scottish take there. That
if he scores against us,
he's obviously going to come and score like 2 against us now, isn't he?
No, he won't. He genuinely won't, because he's terrible, and so's Ollie McBurney. Both of them are absolutely brutal. And I'll eat my words on Wednesday, right? If they play well, but I'm really not expecting them to, because he's been moved around so much, Ollie Burke, and that's probably stunted his growth a wee bit. Because when he was young, he was very exciting and very good, and there was a lot of people in Scottish football excited to see the type of player he could become, but it's just really not happened for him. I mean, he's been at West Brom, he's now at Sheffield United, and I don't know. I just don't see where he goes next, sort of thing. And McBurney is just terrible. I can't stand watching him play for Scotland, because he's just brutal.
So I think we're definitely in for a nightmare from these two midweek now. But no, yeah, look, I do agree with you, Alex. There is going to be some game here.
I don't think it'll be this
game.
Everybody
expects a routine win.
I think this.
It would feel like a very post-Fergie United thing to do, though, that we're top of the league, and then the team that end our unbeaten run are the team at the bottom of the table who are on track for the worst ever league position or points total in history, right?
As I say, look, last season I would have agreed with you, and it was exactly the kind of thing that was going on. We'd have some epic big performance, and it'd often be against one of the big teams, and then we'd go and lose to Burnley or something.
I'm not nervous. I'm just saying, it would feel like a very,
but that
very
is the difference
thing
of this season, where it's those small teams that we've been putting away. And even like a couple of months ago, people were still saying, "Oh, we struggle to break down the small teams," and that myth has been absolutely blown away. As I say, maybe we don't do against Sheffield United, but in general, this season
it's not just breaking them down, though, because the Fulham game, you could, well, maybe not the Fulham game, but there will be games where you struggle to break them down, but you grind.
No, there will, but
right?
as long as you finally get that win.
I don't think that'll be on Wednesday, though. I genuinely think on Wednesday there'll be a fair amount of rotation, sure, but I can't see anything other than, maybe not in terms of the scoreline, but a convincing win. I can't see anything else but it.
Rashford had that knock, didn't he? Which is a big loss.
Yeah, that's
Martial with the hat trick against them last season. Hopefully with a bit of a point to prove after not playing today. Hopefully, he could get some of his form back right in that game. Obviously, Bruno can play following a bit of a rest, which I think will perk him up a bit. We probably need to drop Shaw and bring Telles in. I would say maybe that's unfair, but I would say so. The one place that's like for me still like that we're not able to really drop Wan-Bissaka in these games, because I do think that's going to really harm us coming to the end of the season.
Yeah, we need cover, I think.
I don't mind Tuanzebe getting in a bit of rotation. He played right back and I thought he did pretty well. I think Wan-Bissaka, like you say, definitely needs to rest himself. And for me, Williams doesn't get anywhere near the team now. Obviously, Timothy Fosu-Mensah has left. So, yeah, Tuanzebe is now the number one right back kind of backup. And I would be comfortable seeing him get more game time. He's actually the one player that I feel a bit sorry for not having played more this year. He'd had injury troubles and then he's not been injured. And I expected to see a lot more of him, especially when there was some question marks over our central defensive partnership. And I do think that he should be getting more minutes here and there. So, yeah, we'll see what he gets from there.
I can't see him playing Tuanzebe in this game, to be honest. Like, I think for the most part in the league, he'll pretty much.
I wouldn't be that surprised, to be honest. At some point, Wan-Bissaka has to have a rest.
I think it'll be Cup and Europa, personally.
Well, the Cup was today, though. Yeah, Europa, that's still a month away. And then, like I say, we're playing Arsenal then. The games don't get any easier. So, yeah, at some point he needs to be given. But, yeah, we'll see when it is.
Needs to be given and being given aren't the same thing, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I agree. But, yeah. This was the only issue last year, and that's why Ole has done so much better on squad management this time round. But I agree, it's because we've got better options. You used to look at our bench last year, and there was, not much to be choosing from. Whereas nowadays, there's even some pretty big players who, don't even make the bench. Players like James, or sometimes it might be Mata or somebody they don't even get on the bench. We're not seeing Agallo even appearing not even on the bench.
Have you seen him up the shops, Nick?
I imagine, no, I haven't done. Not been looking out for him. I've not. I think he must be packing his bags by now, getting prepared for wherever he's moving to.
We've had some good results over the few years that have been. We've gone maybe with a diamond, or we've gone with 3-5-2, different systems to just nullify opponents. To win today with a positive selection, with the way we want to see, the way we see our team, of course, that's a statement to ourselves. That's a confidence boost that we can match the best with our style of football.
Before we round off today, I do want to give a shout out to Manscaped, who are supporting the podcast at the moment. The best in men's below the waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision engineered tools for your family jewels. They've actually just launched in the UK. So yeah, I know, Jamie, you have already been using their stuff. And I know you were talking about actually not just how good the kind of the shavers and things like that are, but it's the whole kind of package, right? T-shirts, they give you some kind of lotions and potions and stuff like that in there, right?
Yeah, the trimmer's very good, but it's the whole overall deal I think is excellent from Manscaped. The T-shirt and the boxers are good, yeah, but the moisturiser and the spray are also excellent, and I can't recommend them highly enough. I think they're something that every guy should look into personally.
Can we get the missus on the podcast to give a review at some point?
Yeah, I'll try and get her on for the next week and see if we can get her review as well. Yeah.
I think that could go far. That should be Manscaped's new marketing plan.
Yeah. Well,
get the partners of the men to come on and do the reviews. That's what we're missing here.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, to be fair, like I say, Manscaped put themselves out as below the belt grooming for men, but I'm sure we have many female listeners nowadays, and I'm sure you can use these products as well for your own below the belt grooming. But yeah, go and check out the website. They sell other things, like things that probably actually would be more used to me. As I say, I'm like old school. So yeah, when you talk about shaving like down there, like, I mean, honestly, I've never done it in my life, and I'm not particularly sure if I'm going to be starting now. But yeah, all you youngsters out there, I guess it's the norm. Whereas things like, nose trimmers and things like that they sell are probably more used to me. But yeah, get on the website. You get 20% off with the code United Hour, manscaped.com. I think there's a lot of they're quite big in USA, but yeah, just come to Europe. So yeah, check out them, and it does help the podcast over there. We actually get paid nothing for promoting them. It's only if anyone buys through our code. So yeah, get on there, manscaped.com United Hour. I think
I'm sure you could use it on your ears and on your nose, Nick.
No, they do actually sell nose trimmers and stuff like that. So yeah, they've got their own range of that. And like I said, I have checked out what other products they have.
Do they come with slippers instead?
Yeah, slippers, a flat cap, and a pipe for me, right? But yeah, I think we'll be back hopefully after Sheffield United, but definitely after Arsenal. Shout out again to our Patreon backers who keep us going. A couple of us do join us for our match day Discord over there. So yeah, we are jumping on Discord every time now. So yeah, whoever's on Patreon, feel free to join us up on there, and anybody new, check out the Patreon at United Hour. It's a page over there, and yeah, I think that's about it for now. And yeah, let's see you after the Sheffield United game, right? Good night from me.
Love you all.
Good night, troops.